Hello everybody, Duncan Shea here. Welcome to another episode of Don't Listen to Movie Reviews. Well, as you all might know, I'm continuing my review of the Chronicles of Narnia films. The next book in the series chronologically is Prince Caspian, which is set a year after The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in England, but 1300 years later in Narnia. Unlike The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, this book hasn't had too many film adaptations. It was adapted by the BBC in 1989 as part of the BBC series. In the late 2000s, it would get a theatrical film adaptation by Disney and Walden Media, and I'm reviewing that today. Released on May 16th, 2008, the movie is The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. In Narnia, 1300 years after the Pevensey kids left, Una Prismia, played by Alicia Borakiro, gives birth to a baby boy. General Glozell, played by Pier Francesco Favino Mires, played by Sergio Castelletto, know about this.
General Glozell.
Yes, Pilot.
Dr. Cornelius, played by Vincent Grass, lets Prince Caspian, played by Ben Barnes, know about this, and they hide while some soldiers come in and shoot arrows at Caspian's bed, thinking he's sleeping. Caspian then gets dressed, and Cornelius gives him Queen Susan's horn, telling him to only use it at his greatest need, and then he leaves. Knowing his uncle Mires is trying to kill him to become king, Caspian is chased by Telmarine soldiers as the opening credits roll.
Which of you superstitious old women wants to spend the night in a cell?
Caspian then falls off of his horse in the woods where he encounters two Narnian dwarfs. Not knowing they're trying to save him, he blows into Susan's horn. Meanwhile in England a year later, at the Strand Tube Station, Peter, played again by William Moseley, gets attacked by some guys after they bumped him. And Edmund, played again by Skander Keynes, tries to help him. A few minutes later, as the train passes by, the kids are teleported back to Narnia.
Watch out! Here it comes!
Wait a minute! Come on,
They then discover Caspian Castle is in ruins.
Wonder who lived here.
I think we did.
At Miraz's castle, the soldiers return with a dwarf instead of Caspian. Miraz then enters the council room while it's in session.
Ever since the death of Caspian the Ninth, you've behaved as if you were king. And now it seems that from behind his walls, even Prince Caspian has gone missing.
My deepest condolences, Lord Miraz. Imagine losing your nephew, the rightful heir to the throne, on the very night your wife has blessed you with a son.
Thank you, Lord Caspian. Your compassion is a boon in this troubled time.
I trust you can tell us how such a tragedy could have occurred.
Miraz then says Caspian was taken by Narnians, and Guozel enters with the dwarf whose name is Trumpkin, played by Peter Dinklage, best known for playing Tyrion Lannister in the Game of Thrones TV series.
They've been breeding like cockroaches under a rock, growing stronger, watching us, waiting to strike!
And you wonder why we don't like you.
Well, I intend to strike back. Even if I have to cut down the entire forest, I assure you, I will find Prince Caspian and finish what our ancestors began.
At Caspian, Edmund realizes the castle was attacked. The kids then find a secret passageway that leads to a treasure room where they find their Christmas presents. Of course, Edmund being the only one in the group who didn't receive anything from Father Christmas since he was captured by the White Witch. And they realize their Narnian friends are all dead.
I think it's time we found out what's going on.
General Glozell and another soldier come by in a boat with Trumpkin tied up. They throw him into the water, but then Peter dives in and saves him.
Drop him! That's the best you can come up with.
A simple thank you would suffice.
They were doing fine drowning me without your help.
Maybe we should have let them.
Why are they trying to kill you anyway?
They're Telmarines. That's what they do.
Telmarines? In Narnia?
Where have you been for the last few hundred years?
It's a bit of a long story.
Trumpkin then realizes that they're the kings and queens of Narnia and has a little sword fight with Edmund.
Edmund!
Oh, you all right? Oh.
Bits in bedsteads. Maybe that horn worked after all.
What horn?
Meanwhile, Caspian wakes and finds himself in the house of a dwarf named Nickelbrick, played by Warwick Davis, and a talking badger named Truffle Hunter, voiced by Ken Scott. Caspian realizes they're Narnian who are all extinct.
Sorry to disappoint you. Here you go. Still hot.
Caspian tells them who he is and what he's doing there.
Running away. My uncle has always wanted my throne. I suppose I've only lived this long because he did not have an heir of his own.
That changes things.
Yeah. Means we don't have to kill you ourselves.
As Caspian starts to leave, Nickelbrick and Truffle Hunter tell him that he's supposed to save them. At Miraz' castle, Cornelius goes into his room and finds Miraz, who asks him what he knows about Queen Susan's horn.
It was said to be magic.
Magic?
The Narnians believed it could summon their kings and queens of old. At least, such was the superstition.
And what does Caspian know of this superstition?
My lord, you forbade me from mentioning the old tales.
So I did.
I will say this. If Caspian does know of the deep magic, my lord would have good reason to be nervous.
Meanwhile, the Pevensey kids are in a boat with Trumpkin, and Lucy, played again by Georgie Henley, by the way, notices the trees are still.
What'd you expect?
They used to dance.
Wasn't long after you left that the Telmarines invaded. Those who survived retreated to the woods. And the trees, they retreated so deep into themselves that they haven't been heard from since.
I don't understand. How could Aslan have let this happen?
Aslan thought he abandoned us when you lot did.
We didn't mean to leave, you know.
Makes no difference now, does it?
Get us to the Narnians. And it will.
They soon land, and Lucy sees a bear. She walks over to it, and it starts chasing her.
Stay away from her!
Shoot! Susan, shoot!
Why wouldn't he stop?
I suspect he was hungry.
Thanks.
He was wild. I don't think he could talk at all.
Get treated like a dumb animal long enough, that's what you become. You may find Narnia a more savage place than you remember.
In the woods, Caspian, Nickabrick, and Truffle Hunter are found by the Telmarine soldiers and run away. Truffle Hunter gets shot, and suddenly the soldiers are attacked by something small, which is a mouse named Reepicheep, voiced by Eddie Izzard, and Nickabrick and Truffle Hunter tell him Caspian blew the horn.
Then let him bring it forward. This is the reason we have gathered.
Elsewhere in the woods, Lucy sees Aslan across a gorge. However, they don't see her except for Edmund.
Why wouldn't I have seen him?
Maybe you weren't looking.
I'm sorry, Lou.
That night, the Narnians accuse Caspian of taking everything from them.
I didn't steal anything.
Didn't steal anything? Shall we list the things the Telmarines have taken?
Oh!
Oh, freedom!
Our lives!
You would hold me accountable for all the crimes of my people.
Accountable and punishable.
Ha! That is rich coming from you, dwarf. Or have you forgotten that it was your people who fought alongside the White Witch?
And I'd gladly do it again, if it would rid us of these barbarians.
Then it's lucky that it is not in your power to bring her back. Or are you suggesting that we ask this boy to go against Aslan now?
No!
Some of you may have forgotten, but we Badgers remember well that Narnia was never right, except when a son of Adam was king.
He's a Telmarine. Why would we want him as our king?
Caspian tells them he's trying to save them.
Beyond these woods, I'm a prince. The Telmarine throne is rightfully mine. Help me claim it, and I can bring peace between us.
It is true. The time is right. I watch the skies, for it is mine to watch as it is yours to remember, Badger. Tava, the Lord of Victory, and Alambil, the Lady of Peace, have come together in the high heavens. Now here, the Son of Adam has come forth to offer us back our freedom.
Is this possible? Do you really think there could be peace? Do you? I mean, really?
2 days ago, I didn't believe in the existence of talking animals, or dwarves, or centaurs. And here you are, in strength and numbers that we Telmarines could never have imagined. Whether this horn is magic or not, it brought us together. And together, we have a chance to take back what is ours.
So the Narnians agree to join Caspian. The next day, the kids and Trumpkin search for Aslan. That night, Susan, played again by Anna Popplewell, by the way, asks Lucy why she thinks she didn't see Aslan.
You believe me?
Well, we got across the gorge.
I don't know. Maybe you didn't really want to.
You always knew we'd be coming back here, didn't you?
I hoped so.
I finally just got used to the idea of being in England.
But you're happy to be here, aren't you?
While it lasts.
The next morning, Lucy hears a growling sound and wanders off to see what it is. Soon enough, she finds Aslan, voiced again by Liam Neeson.
I've missed you so much. grown.
Every year you grow, so shall I.
Where have you been? Why haven't you come to help us?
Things never happen the same way twice, dear one.
However, it was just a dream. Lucy wakes up and wanders off. Peter grabs her and they see a Minotaur. They then encounter Caspian and the other Narnians.
Prince Caspian? Yes? And who are you?
Peter!
Hi, King Peter.
I believe you called.
Well, yes, but I thought you'd be older.
Well, if you like, we could come back in a few years.
No, that's all right. You're not exactly what I expected.
Neither are you.
A common enemy unites even the oldest of foes.
We have anxiously awaited your return, my liege. Our hearts and swords are at your service.
Oh my gosh, he is so cute.
Who said that?
Sorry.
Oh, Your Majesty, with the greatest respect. I do believe courageous, courteous, or chivalrous might more befit a knight of Narnia.
Well, at least we know some of you can handle a blade.
Yes, indeed. And I have recently put it to good use, securing weapons for your armies, sire.
So the kids join Caspian's army. Meanwhile, Miraz asks Squozel how many men he lost.
None, my lord. None. They came like ghosts in the dead of night. We never saw them.
Then how do you explain your injuries?
I asked, how many men were killed during this bloody Narnian attack? Of which you were a fortunate survivor. General, how many?
Three.
Caspian and the kids arrive at a large tomb, and inside is the stone table, and the temple was the tomb around it.
He must know what he's doing.
I think it's up to us now.
So Peter tells the troops his plan for attacking Miraz's castle. However, Lucy interrupts him by saying they should wait for Aslan.
I think we've waited for Aslan long enough.
That night, they invade Miraz's castle. Caspian enters Miraz and Bruna Prismia's bedroom and aims his sword at Miraz. Bruna Prismia grabs a crossbow and aims it at Caspian. Peter and Susan enter and Caspian asks Miraz if he killed his father.
Now we get to it.
You said your brother died in his sleep.
That was more or less true.
Caspian, this won't make things any better.
We Telmarines would have nothing had we not taken it. Your father knew that as well as anyone.
How could you?
For the same reason you will pull that trigger. For our son.
Stop! Stay right there!
You need to make a choice, dear. Do you want our child to be king? Or do you want him to be like Caspian here? Fatherless!
No!
Caspian!
After that, the others enter the castle and the fight begins. Mira's orders for the gates to close, and Peter tells the troops to retreat. But only half of them escape while the others are trapped by the gates and are killed. They return to Aslan's tomb, and Peter and Caspian are both guilty about how many soldiers they lost.
You could have called it off. There was still time.
No, there wasn't, thanks to you. If you'd kept to the plan, those soldiers might be alive right now.
And if you just stayed here like I suggested, they definitely would be.
You called us, remember?
My first mistake.
No. Your first mistake was thinking you'd lead these people.
Hey! I am not the one who abandoned Narnia.
You invaded Narnia. You have no more right to lead than Miraz does. You, him, your father. Narnia's better off than a lot of you.
Stop it!
Meanwhile, Miraz is crowned king, and the Telmarines march into battle. At Aslan's tomb, Nickabrick tells Caspian they can help him get his throne. So with the help of a werewolf and a hag, who the latter uses sorcery to summon Jadis, played again by Tilda Swinton from an ice well.
This isn't what I wanted.
One drop of Adam's blood, and you free me. Then I am yours, my king.
No!
Suddenly, Peter, Edmund, and Lucy arrive and stop this, and Edmund destroys the ice wall.
I know. You had it sorted.
After that, Caspian asks Cornelius why he never told him about his father.
My mother was a black dwarf from the northern mountains. I've risked my life all these years so that one day you might be a better king than those before you.
Then I have failed you.
Everything I told you, everything I didn't, it was only because I believe in you. You have a chance to become the most noble contradiction in history. The Telmarine who saved Narnia.
Later, the Telmarines approach the tomb. Caspian suggests Peter and Mira should do it one by one under the surrender condition to give Susan and Lucy more time to find Aslan, and so Edmund tells Miraz about this.
Why would we risk such a proposal when our armies could wipe you out by nightfall?
Haven't you already underestimated our numbers? I mean, only a week ago, Narnians were extinct.
And so you will be again.
Well, then you should have little to fear.
This is not a question of bravery.
So you're bravely refusing to fight a swordsman half your age?
I didn't say I refused.
You shall have our support, Your Majesty. Whatever your decision.
Sire, our military advantage alone provides the perfect excuse to avoid what
I'm not avoiding anything.
I was merely pointing out that my lord is well within his rights to refuse.
His Majesty would never refuse. He relishes the chance to show the people the courage of their new king.
You should hope your brother's sword is sharper than his pen.
At the tomb, Susan and Lucy leave on a horse to find Aslan, and they're seen by some of the Telmarines. So Susan jumps off the horse, and Lucy rides off to find Aslan alone.
Sure you don't need that horn?
Meanwhile, Peter and Miraz are in a battle and they both get injured.
Does His Highness need a respite?
5 minutes.
A few minutes later, the battle continues and Peter manages to harm Miraz badly and has Caspian finish him off. However, Caspian spares Miraz's life and gives the Narnians their kingdom back. But then Lord Caspian, played by Damien Alcazar, stabs Miraz with one of Susan's arrows and blames this on the Narnians.
Be ready!
The Telmarines then start catapulting boulders at Aslan's tomb and charge towards the Narnians, and the troops collapse the halls of the tomb. The Narnians retreat to the Howe, but the boulders cause a rock slide which seals off the entrance. They then charge towards the Telmarines. Meanwhile, Lucy encounters Aslan while running away from the soldiers chasing her.
Aslan! I knew it was you. The whole time, I knew it. But the others didn't believe me.
And why would that stop you from coming to me?
I'm sorry. I was too scared to come alone. Why wouldn't you show yourself? Why couldn't you come roaring in and save us like last time?
Things never happen the same way twice, dear one.
If I'd come earlier, with everyone who died, could I have stopped that?
We can never know what would have happened, Lucy. But what will happen is another matter entirely.
And you'll help?
Of course. As will you.
Oh, I wish I was braver.
If you were any braver, you'd be a lioness.
At the battlefield, the trees awaken after a long sleep and attack Telmarines.
Lucy.
Caspian orders them to retreat to the bridge, but then Lucy shows up with Aslan, who has the river god destroy the bridge and the Telmarine army, including Caspian, and with the battle won by the Narnians, the surviving Telmarines hand over their weapons.
Do you see him now?
Later, before going back to England, Peter and Susan explain that they are no longer needed in Narnia since they've learned all they could and will never return. After saying their final goodbyes, the kids head back to England and board a train to boarding school. And that was the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. My thoughts? It's really good. Maybe not as much as its predecessor, but still really good. On a budget of $225 million, the film didn't make as much money as its predecessor, with only $141.6 million domestically and a worldwide total of $419.7 million. making it the 10th highest grossing film of 2008 and got mixed reviews from critics. 2 years later, in 2010, it did get a sequel with the third book published in the series with The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but that film was distributed by 20th Century Fox because of budgetary problems between Disney and Walden Media. Now let's move on to the production of the film. The production for this movie started before the release of the first movie, when the script for Prince Caspian was already written, and Andrew Adamson, the director, said that the decision was made to follow the publication order of the novels because if they didn't make it now, they would never be able to because of the actors aging. Screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely wanted the film to show how the kids would feel coming back to Narnia after being kings and queens, and then school children. So they noted that C.S. Lewis doesn't much consider what it would be like for a king of Narnia to return to being a 1940s school child. They also decided that the kids should go back to Narnia closer to the beginning of the film so they could combine the two stories of the Pevensies and Caspian. When creating Trumpkin, Peter Dinklage was hired to play him, while for his makeup, the artist covered his entire head with latex, which would then be removed after drying, and then they would use the latex mask to duplicate his face over and over again. For the design, Adamson described this movie darker than the first one, since Narnia is set 1,300 years later and has been the Telmarines have oppressed for a long time. Veteran horror and monster concept artist Jordu Shell designed the creatures, and Howard Berger supervised them and said that Prince Caspian would be more medieval than the previous film, and his sons with Adamson critiqued his designs during the process, with one of his sons saying that the werewolf's ears should be smaller because the bigger ones look silly. For the Narnians, Berger envisioned them as being wilder this time since they were forced to move into the forests. He also chose to level up the different ages, sizes, and races. The Black Dwarfs were changed to red because they have more leather and jewelry as well as darker colored costumes. For the Telmarines, like Caspian, production designer Roger Ford originally intended for them to be French, but it was changed because they were not able to film at Pierrefonds Castle, so they made them Spanish instead. For the costumes, Isis Macendon checked El Greco's paintings to inspire them for the Telmarines because she wanted acidic and hot and cold colors at the same time. The Telmarines' masked helmets were based on conquistadors and samurai, unlike the red and gold ones worn by the Narnians. For the filming, the crew took 8 months searching filming locations, some of which include Ireland, China, and Argentina. But then New Zealand, Prague, Slovenia, and Poland were chosen. It began in Auckland on February 12, 2007. For the scene where the Pevensey kids find Cair Paravel in ruins, it was shot at Cathedral Cove, and the filmmakers chose that place since it had a tunnel-like arch which looked a lot like the train tunnel that the kids go into before they're sent back to Narnia, and Henderson Valley Studios was used for the ancient treasure room and the underground station. The crew started filming at Barrandov Studios in Prague on April 1st, 2007, where sets like Miraz's castle, Aslan's How, and the Narnians' underground hiding places were built. The castle was 200 feet and 61 centimeters tall, and it was created to scale since Adamson felt like he used digital sets too much in the last film. As for Miraz's courtyard, it was the biggest set built in production designer Roger Ford's career. Aslan's house was changed into the hideout once they finished filming those scenes. For Trouble Under's Den, Ford's team placed a camera inside a badger den and studied what it should look like while its roof was raised 3 inches because Ben Barnes was too tall to fit it in. Once June 2007 came, they filmed the bridge fight near Kovac in Saka Valley, Slovenia. They chose that place because it had a resemblance to New Zealand, and a big bridge was modeled after one built by Julius Caesar was built. In order to build the bridge, it took the crew 40 days by digging a trench to change the river's flow. This way, they could make the drained sides of the riverbed deeper to look like somebody could drown in it. They also cut down 100 trees to film the scenes of the Telmarines building the bridge, and were moved to another side of the river as decorations. It was filmed in USI in Lebom in the Czech Republic, and the entrance to Aslan's house was the only part of it built on location. Adamson wanted to have Peter and Miraz's duel feel different and not like controlled. So William Moseley and Sergio Castellitto took some fencing training for the scene in November 2006 with stunt coordinator Alan Poppleton as a body double for Castellitto in the scenes because they were similar in size. When filming claustrophobic scenes, cameras were installed into the shields while the main camera was positioned on a 360-degree track which was around the ruin. The crew dug a bug hole in the ground for the scene where the Narnians made the pillars holding up the ground near Aslan's house that the Telmarines were standing on to collapse. The grass then had to be restored after the scene where the cavalry charges was filmed. For the effects, British visual effects companies, the Moving Picture Company, and Frame Store CFC were hired along with Weta Digital to create them. Frame Store did work on Aslan, Truffle Hunter, and The Door in the Air. Scanleen created the River God. Weta did the Werewolf, Wild Bear, and Miraz's Castle. MPC and Escape Studios worked on the main battle, the tunnel, the castle assault, the council scenes, and the rest of the creatures. To create the final battle scene, 150 extra were used for the Narnians and 300 were used for the Telmarines and were digitally duplicated to create the 1,000 Narnians and 5,000 Telmarines on screen. And now it's time for me to get my opinion on the film. In the end, while it may not be as good as its predecessor, The Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian is still really good. I give it a rating of 4 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for The Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian and The Chronicles of Narnia series by Disney and Walden Media. Be sure to next week when I'll be reviewing the Disney movie about a teenage boy going out with the leader of the country's daughter. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.
Now we're back to the beginning. It's just a feeling and no one knows yet But just because they can't feel it too doesn't mean that you have to forget. Let your memories grow stronger and stronger till they're before your eyes. You'll come back when they call.
You don't think there's any way we could get back? We left my new torch in Narnia.